So this is my presentation on notational analysis. So what is notational analysis? Notational analysis is a sort of way of analysing a team or individual's performance. This can be over different periods of time, so you could analyse a team over a season, or you could analyse an individual over half a game or 2 games. So when you're analysing someone, you look for performance criteria, which you can see here. Performance criteria is sort of different aspects of the game. So in basketball would be a performance criteria would be layups, steals, points scored. So you'd look out for these while analysing them, and when they perform these skills or performance criteria, you'd mark this down as completed. So tactics. Tactics are like how a team plays. So a basketball team may focus on one player that is very successful at shooting 3-point shots, so they'll focus on getting the ball to them and scoring. So on the data you'll see that this player has lots of 3 points successful and scored, whereas the other players in the team have less or few 3 points scored. Also movement patterns. So movement patterns are like, could be how far a player travels or what areas a player stays in or how they cover the whole pitch. So movement patterns are also useful, as you can see, where a team plays most of their points and stuff. So strategy. Strategy is like could be how a team defends and then will attack on the break. This is one strategy and is very successful in basketball. So analysing is used by coaches of opposition teams to look out for a team they're playing in the next few weeks to try and find their weaknesses and then exploit these on the day. And coaches of their own team will use this as they need to improve on their weaknesses and stop them from exploiting them. So, performance criteria. Our basketball performance criteria was 3 points attempted, 3 points scored, 3-point percentage, 2-point attempted, 2 points scored, 2-point percentage, free throw attempted, free throw scored, free throw percentage, layups, rebounds offensive, rebounds defensive, blocks and steals. So as we said, performance criteria is the different components or aspects that make up a sport. So these can vary due to positions as well. So a power forward would not be expected to make lots of 3 points, but they would be expected to make lots of 2 points, layups, blocks, steals. A small forward would make lots of assists and not make as many points scored. A point guard would be expected to make 3-point shots and 2-point shots with layups as well. And a shooting guard wouldn't be expected to make blocks or steals or rebounds. So you can see how different positions use different performance criteria more or less. So the method of notational analysis. So you need equipment for notational analysis, such as a clipboard, pen, chart with performance criteria on, camera, and a computer. I'll explain in a second how we use these different pieces of equipment. So the method we use during our notational analysis of basketball was to film one half of the basketball game and then analyse the other half. This gave us a set of data to use to analyse performances. The first half was filmed and then we analysed it afterwards. Then we put this information in a chart, which we'll see later on in the presentation. The second half we watched live and then noted down when the performance criteria was achieved. We also put this information in the chart. We used different pieces of equipment during our notational analysis. One piece of equipment being the clipboard and paper. This was purely just to record our data on. We also needed a chart with all our performance criteria on, so we could mark off when we saw all our clients that achieved one of our performance criteria and mark it down. We also used movement patterns to analyse our performers. We did this by watching the half of video data and then printing off an image of a basketball court. We then followed the movement of the performer around the basketball court on the paper with a pen, and then afterwards it gives you it's not very legit, but it gives you a good idea of how they moved and how far they moved. We could have used different programs to do this. We could have used GPS trackers and better software. However, these can be very expensive and not really necessary in this situation where the performance criteria is quite easy to spot, and we get a good idea of how far they've travelled and what movements they make, often using our pen and paper. So strengths and weaknesses of notational analysis. So a strength of notational analysis is that you get a good perspective of the game if you're watching it live. So when you're at home watching it on a laptop or something, sometimes the quality isn't very good. So when you're actually there in the flesh and you can watch the actual game, it's a lot better quality and you can spot a lot of things you wouldn't see necessarily on the video. But then if you filmed it, you can look back at the match to see if you've missed anything or if there's any other performance criteria you didn't account for, which is also a strength. However, of course, it can be bad quality. So performance criteria is quite easy to spot in basketball, which is another strength of notational analysis in basketball. So all the performance criteria we had, you could explain them and then you pretty much understood them. You didn't need to be an expert in basketball to be able to take part in notational analysis. So weaknesses. So if you don't have the knowledge, you can miss some performance criteria if the game is played at a high pace. Because some people, you may still have the knowledge and the game is just playing at such a high pace that you just miss some aspects of the game. Another weakness is that some equipment is very expensive. So examples of this is software. So we used Edexcel, which isn't very expensive, but some programs can be very expensive. Also, GPS trackers can be expensive as they're high quality technology and they follow someone around the basketball court, giving you exact numbers of how far they've travelled, where they've been, different areas they've been in. But also you would need software to then plot this information. Also, cameras can be expensive, which we use to film. So we used an iPad, so it wasn't too bad, but some cameras, high quality cameras, can be really expensive. So another weakness, someone could easily distract you while you're watching. So this would cause you to miss some criteria maybe. And if you miss it, this could maybe corrupt your data. Because if you miss a 3-point scored or something, then it could throw off all the percentages, which could then ruin all your data. So here you can see our evidence of our notational analysis for two players. We have Aaron here and Charlie here, and then we have the movement patterns as I was talking about here for Aaron and here for Charlie. You can see that Aaron covers a lot of the court, so does Charlie, but Charlie covers more on the right side of the court. So that is my presentation of notational analysis. Thank you.